If you've gone and set your audio mix within Warzone 2 to headphones bass boost, you're actually going about fixing the audio problems completely wrong. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you through a detailed multi-step procedure that's going to guarantee you the best audio you've had in Warzone 2 so far, focusing on that footstep audio. This is going to include how to set up your in-game audio settings, how you can tweak some Windows settings to get better improvements, and even a trusted external application that you can run with Warzone 2 to get the best audio. So let's begin with in-game audio settings, the simple stuff. You'll probably have this audio mix set to headphone bass boost. This is what everyone on TikTok is saying you need to do to get the best audio so you can hear all the footsteps. No, that's not really how it works. The headphone bass boost actually muddies a lot of your audio, especially when you don't have the best headphones, because what it's doing, that bass boost that it's adding on top, it's making a lot of these sounds you don't need to be hearing, sounds like explosions going off from across the map, airstrikes coming in, cluster strikes coming in, just general rumblings of Al Mazrah. You hear all of that so much more than you need to, and it just makes it so that footstep audio is not improved whatsoever. Instead, what I'd recommend you change this to is home theater. There are a lot of people moving over to this. A lot of pro players are trying this out because a lot of the audio tweaking and PC tweaking companies that you see on Twitter are recommending that you do this. And this gives you a really level soundstage, which is already the best thing you can choose. But it will also work well with the other things we're going to do outside of game when we start tweaking audio in a much better way than the game settings can do. Next, we'll move on to these volumes. Master volume, we're actually going to cover this a bit later on because this is going to be slightly personal preference. It's going to be based on how loud your headphones are by default. So I will come back to that later. Music volume, turn this all the way to 0. I know the music sounds great in this game, but it does get in the way. I don't know if there's any music which happens at certain points during the Battle Royale, but that's because I've cut it to 0 the whole time, and I'd recommend that you guys do too. Before we continue, I'm going to give a massive shout out to today's video sponsor, Yahaha. Yahaha is a new user-generated content creation platform for 3D multiplayer experiences. Essentially, you get to make your own games. With Yahaha, anyone can create and publish their virtual experiences without any coding experience needed or server knowledge. Yahaha also hosts regular live streams for the community to help creators enhance their metaverse building skills. You can follow their Twitch channel or check out their YouTube channel for previous sessions to get you started. Let me show you how easy it is to use the editor and actually make some games that you can play with your friends. We've got a load of templates that we can build off of to start making some games when we're newer to it. So I'm going to go for this hide and seek gameplay template. I'm going to try and make this into a sort of prop hunt style game where you can become objects around the map. First thing to do is we need a behavior. So I'm going to go to asset library and there's a player transformation. I'm going to add this into my assets for my level. And then we need an object that we can transform into. This dog statue looks pretty good, so we'll add this into the scene. So we'll just place the dog statue in the map, and then we can come up here and we can add the component behavior to allow us to transform into it. Add community component, and it's right there, added in. So if everything's gone to plan now, we should be able to run up to this object we put down, and we now become it. So we can now hide as this big dog statue. That's just a quick example of something you can make very quickly. You could make something from scratch. You can play loads of games that already exist. Why don't you click the link in the description or scan the QR code to check out Yahaha today and start making your dream games come to life. For dialogue volume, this is actually very important. Do not turn this all the way down. This is the way that you're going to know that UAVs are coming in. It's the way that you know that enemies are going to be dropping in. You get these audio cues from the character speaking. So I like to have this around 30 to 40. It makes it not get in the way, but I can still hear it as and when I need it. Effects volume. We want this turned all the way up. This is our most important volume on this slider, along with master volume, putting them together. But effects volume you need all the way to the right. This is essentially all of the sounds we hear in game, especially footsteps. So make sure this is turned all the way up. And then hit marker volume. Hit marker sounds are good. They sound really nice and crisp. We love to hear them. I'd recommend you turn it down to about halfway, 50. This means you still hear them. You still get that audio stimulus knowing you've landed the shots, that satisfying sound, but it doesn't get in the way. So that's everything we're going to be doing for our in-game settings. Let's now move on to something we can do in Windows, which is an absolute game changer. So we're moving on to a setting that you can enable in Windows for whatever your output device is. For me, it's my headphones. For you, it might be speakers if you're using speakers. A lot of people, it will be headphones. And it's going to tighten that dynamic range in a far better way than Warzone 2 audio mixes can do. So what I mean by dynamic range, just cover that again quickly. We're making the loud sounds a bit quieter and the quieter sounds louder. So we're able to hear footsteps a lot easier over sounds like gunshots, explosions. The worst thing is when you're having having a fight and someone comes in behind you in your building and you just never even heard them because your ears were getting blown out by all the sounds that you don't really need to hear so loud. So how we're going to get to this is in Windows, come down to your audio like speaker symbol in the bottom right corner, right click that and go to sounds. That's going to open up the sound window, if you want to call it that. Go to playback and then scroll down to find whatever you set as your default device, assuming that you've got Warzone set up to be putting out to your default device, which should be by default. Most of you will have this. Basically, you just want to find out whatever the playback device is that Warzone is giving you sound through. For me, it's my Wavelink system because I've got an Elgato set up, but for a lot of you guys, it will probably just be headphones or speakers or something like that. Right-click that device, go to Properties, go to Enhancements, and we're going to be enabling Loudness Equalization. So tick that and click Apply. So what this is doing is a far better tightening of the dynamic range than any of the audio mixers can do in Warzone 2. And if you want to hear the difference between the two, it might sound a little bit weird, but you should notice those quiet sounds getting a lot louder and the loud sounds getting a lot quieter. Just listen to this example comparing it on and off. This is an absolute game changer, and everyone should be running this while they're playing Warzone. The only annoying thing is that when you're not playing Warzone, or maybe when you move to other games where you don't care as much about this, or you're browsing the web, watching films, doing anything on your PC other than playing Warzone, you do need to come in here and turn this off and apply again. Otherwise, you might get some weird sounding Netflix or something while you're trying to do that. So we're not done. There is one last step we need to do, and it's a bit of a personal preference thing. It's going to add a nice EQ using an external application. Unfortunately, this is a paid application, but I'm telling you it's 100% worth it. Head to your Microsoft Store, and you're going to download Dolby Access. Dolby Access as an application is free, but we're going to be utilizing Dolby Atmos within there to get some incredible sounds for gaming. So download it, launch it, and you get this this panel that opens up. You'll see that it's £14.24 to purchase the application. I actually haven't done that yet. You get a 7-day trial when you first download it, so there's no reason you shouldn't go and get it and try it out and see if it helps you out, and then you can decide whether you want to buy it later on. But essentially, you set up your headphones, whatever your device is, and eventually you get through to this page. You go to Settings, and then you've got this tab called Game. In here, you just need to enable Performance Mode and then click Apply. It says here, Performance Mode prioritizes positional accuracy for competitive gaming. Essentially what this is doing is it's applying a default EQ. You can set up custom EQs down here, but I've tried a bunch and none of them sound as good as the default game one with performance mode on. And it really bumps those footsteps just that little bit, makes them a little bit more crisp, and you can start to hear so many sounds that you never heard before while playing Warzone 2. Just to make sure it's running, you then need to come down to your sound icon once again, like we did earlier, right click it, and hover over spatial sound. You should have an option in here called Dolby Atmos for headphones. If this is ticked, you're all up and running. When you want to turn this off, along with the loudness equalization, when you want to go back to doing some normal stuff, you just need to click this to off. Then you'll see here, it says enable Dolby Atmos to access the settings. At the moment, it's turned off. So we can come back in here, spatial sound, Dolby Atmos, we're back up and running. So running that loudness equalization with the Dolby Atmos, plus the in-game settings that I gave you earlier, that's going to give you the best sound you've had in Warzone 2. So if you found this video informative, then please do subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos coming up very soon. I've got a lot of stuff planned, a lot more stuff to do with settings and getting this game running the best, looking the best, and sounding the best it can. So it'll be awesome to have you guys along for the ride. If you haven't watched it already, you need to go and check out my previous video where I covered a bunch of settings you probably didn't even know that you really should change within Warzone. A lot of stuff that's going to enable you to just play the game a lot better, improve your gameplay. So yeah, go check that one out next.